Hello guys, welcome to today's session. So it's been a while since we had these sessions, so and then finally we're back. So today we'll be discussing about web servers, load balancers, how to deploy a web static project, and then also we'll do a small introduction on searching algorithms. So if time allows, maybe we'll look into what happens when you type google.com, and then on Wednesday we'll jump right into the task and then we'll solve them as a group. So
Woo! So sorry.
sorry, please. Hey Lupamo, can you please mute yourself? So our first host is going to be Levi. So Levi will be taking us through web servers. So Levi, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, sir, for this great opportunity. Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
All right. So, I'll be taking us on web server. That does not mean I know everything about web server. We are all learning. So, I will just try my best. If I didn't get it right, my boss is here to guide me. So, but let's just do something. So, we are doing this together. All right. Okay. So I can share my screen.
Yeah, yeah, Start sharing your screen.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Are you sure I can share my screen? Like, am I permitted to?
Yeah.
Because I'm
Everybody.
seeing can't share your screen. Sorry, an error occur when screen share.
No. Everybody can be allowed to share the screen. The meeting is open to everyone. So I don't know. Maybe just try troubleshooting. Just troubleshoot because everybody can share the screen. Hey Lisa, can you try sharing your screen if that's possible?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for that. So you just stop sharing. I think maybe he's not doing it correctly. Oh, actually, I think he's already out. So because of time, I think we'll give him some time. But then for the moment, Luis, are you up to start presenting, or you say we should wait for him?
Let's wait for him.
Okay, sure.
Just a few minutes. Yeah,
Okay,
just a
sure.
few minutes.
So for the
Mm.
meantime, I can just give a small introduction on what we'll be talking about. So let me just share this. I didn't write a lot of notes because I was not the one who's going was going to do the presentation today. But then when we talk about web servers, we basically just think it of this way. So after buying a domain name, for example, say ahmed.tech, that's for example. So after buying a domain name, the domain name won't work without having a content backup. So you type the domain name in your browser, and then now the browser generates the page you are looking for. So depending on whether it's a content site, whether it's a website, things like that. So the web servers are the ones that enable the contents to be shown. because just having the domain name itself won't help. So that's why we want to know. That's why we want to learn about web servers, how to configure them. Yeah, because a popular web server that everybody now is using, I know, is Nginx, but there's also Apache. But then, from what I saw, I just prefer. I think even in another lifetime, I'll also just prefer going with Nginx because it's easier to configure. And there's also Apache, which is also easier to I'll say easier to use. Both of them listen to port 80. So if in a scenario you say maybe you want to test them and you install Nginx and Apache at the same time, so the first one in which you're going to install is the one that's going to listen to port 80. So for example, if you install Apache the first one, and then you also install Nginx, if you try to run Nginx, you're going to get an error because port 80 will already have been used by this Apache. Both of them are web servers. They are good, but then I just prefer Nginx. Oh, because everybody went through the resources. So let me. Oh, okay. Sorry. I can see Levi is already back here. So hey, Levi.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Just continue.
Sorry.
I was
All
just
right.
giving
Sorry about
them.
that. I think.
I was just giving an
Okay.
introduction. So
Okay.
yeah. So since you're back, just continue. Just share your screen. Anyone can share their screen.
I think I'm not sharing. Is it visible now?
We can see it. Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Okay. So we are all welcome to this session, and these are the, if time permits, we are going to dive into all this. First one is how the server work, how the web work. So who have idea how? Maybe let's take for instance. This session is going to be because most of us has we have seen one or two materials. This is not the first time we are having this particular topic. So it's just like a kind of a refreshing our mind, and also getting ourselves understand the basic concepts about this web. So I will not be speaking much grammar. It's just the basic understanding that we need here. So I will start with this illustration. Let's say that, for instance, now we are all software engineers, and the perfect example I can give now is that, let's say your dad, you're always in the system, and your dad is wondering what is it that you're always doing in this system, and he'll walk up to you like, ask you, my son or my daughter, what is that you are doing with system always, and you are trying to explain to him that you are doing a web project, how the web works. So right, he now sat down and says, explain to me, what do you mean by the web? How does it work? How does the web work? How does it work? Like, so how can you explain to your dad? Because now your dad doesn't have any idea about the web. So you're going to make the explanation very simple for him to understand. Okay, that's what I want to communicate today. It's not the type of we are being asked in interview. If you're in interview and they ask this kind of question, you would like to blow grammar. But this is just a very simple analogy. So so I just need one person or two persons to you know just just tell me, then we start. Is that okay? So you want to explain to your dad how the web works, just one or two things, just say something. Yeah, you can continue from there. How about that? Okay, someone is already raising his hand. Ahmed, Ahmed sir, you can say something, of course.
Yeah. Thank you, Levi. So, for example, if my dad asks me how the web works, I just give him a simple definition of it. I just say the web works in two ways. So a client requests for maybe say a service, and then from a server, in which case that the server is just a computer, and then the server responds back to the client with a respond. That's the simplest way I can just explain to someone who is not into tech how the web works. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, we can hear you.
Oh, all right. Thank you so much, sir. Um, do any other person want to try, or should I continue because of time? Okay, let me go on. So, thank you so much, sir. You've really done the job. So, I would like to say that I'll tell my dad, look, in websites they have two. Okay, I'll start from in the web. Any devices that's connected to the web are called client and server. That means computers or devices that are being connected to the internet, to the network, is being referred to as either a client or a server. So, and what do I mean by being connected to the internet? What is internet? Internet is just the interconnection of many computers. You get, so you have a computer and you have two computers connected to each other. So that is they are they are connected to each other to share resources. But when more or more computers are being connected together, the word inter comes to play. Then internetwork. So when a device is being is when a device is among the computers that are
Hello,
being connected in the
hello,
internet.
okay.
All right, sir.
Please, can you come back with that your logic, that explanation? I'm trying to get something. Can you come back a bit?
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
All right. I started by saying that you know, if you go for interview, most of the question they will ask you, or one major question they ask you is like they'll tell you to explain the web. How does the web work? So, but that's not what we are going to start here because in interview case, you try to use an advanced English to communicate with them. You get, but now my analogy is that your dad sees you always working on a system as a software engineer, so he wants to actually know if what you are doing is beneficial, and he's asking you about the current project you are doing, and it's about the web. So you're not trying to convince him that what you are doing is actually beneficial, and you have to prove it by explaining to him how does the web work. So, and I come like this. Now, when many computers, devices, it must not be a computer, it must not be a computer, it can be phone, or it can be any devices that has IP address. So when more computers or devices are being connected to each other, that's simply internet. So from the word inter means inter is they are being dependent on each other, interdependent. They are being like inter. Then network is simply the connection of two or more devices. So that is where the internet comes to play. Internet is simply the connection of many computers to share resources, send files or receive files. So that means and any devices that are being connected to the internet, that is where a client and a server comes in, because one will be serving as a server and the other one will be serving as a client. Now, what the client does is that now our client in this way is now our computer or your mobile phone. So your client send a request through your browser. It can be Google Chrome or um, Firefox or um, anyone you are using. So it sends a request to a server. Now, this is the explanation I'm giving to my dad. Now, the client, which is our computer, send a request. So once you type something on the Google and you click enter, it sends a request to the server, and the server respond to the request. So your dad will look at that and he's not satisfied. He will tell you to say more things. He will tell you to add things. You know, say okay, let me explain in detail how this thing actually works. Now your client, which is our computer, for instance, we type www.google.com and we click enter. Now every website has a corresponding IP address on the internet, and the IP address is the IP address of the server that is serving that client. So, I mean, what happened is just that once you type that www.google, it wants to know the server, the Chrome, because there are so many servers out there. So the Chrome want to know the server that is hosting that website. So it goes to the DNS. DNS is what have DNS have all the IP address of all the websites. So it goes to DNS to determine the server, and the server is simply the IP address. So when it changes that website to the IP address of the server, the Chrome now knows the server that is hosting that website. Now, when they have determined the server, it then simply go straight to the server. Now, okay, maybe I'll be writing, but I just want to just talk like so that you understand this very well. Am I communicating?
Is this session record?
All
Is
right,
the
sir.
session recorded? Is it recorded?
Yeah, always,
Uh,
always.
okay, it's okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now, mind you, your internet connection is what makes this traveling possible. Now, sorry about that. Now, let me bring in another analogy. Mr. I was Ahmed. Okay. You are from Kenya, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
All right. Now, I'm a Nigerian. I'm standing as my system, and you are standing as my server. Now, you see that the distance is very far. It can be like this in network, like in internet. Your server might be very far from you. It doesn't matter. So you are in Kenya, I'm in Nigeria, and I want to travel to Kenya and get a data from you. I want to collect something from you. Now, what happened is this: I need to start a journey, but I don't know where you are located. So what I do is this: I go to DNS. DNS is where, and mind you, for you to travel, you must have a data connection. Data connection is like the road which you use to travel. So it means that if there is no road, definitely there will not be means of travel. Imagine that there is no road. So how do you even intend? How do you even plan to make the travel? So it means that you must have a data connection. So when your data connection is on, it now gives you the opportunity to travel. So our road is now in existence, and we have to travel through the road. So that is, I now go to DNS. DNS give me the location. I mean the actual person, which is Mr. Ahmed, that holds what I want. Let's say, for instance, I need I need a system from him. I need a system, and he give me the information about the person that I will meet. Wow. I said, okay, thank you. So another thing is, how do I make this journey? So TCP comes in, transmission control protocol. TCP simply TCP stroke IP is just the route. It's it's a protocol. It's a protocol that give me the route to reach where Ahmed is. So TCP is a protocol that provide the route through which I can travel. Then after that, we now have HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. It's a protocol that helps me communicate. Now, in Nigeria here, the Hausas have the way of communication, the Igbos have the way of communication, and the Yoruba have their way of communication. Now, Hausa man can meet an elder. How do they even communicate? Okay, let me start from Yoruba. I know very well. I think they lie down, right? They lie on the floor to communicate, like to greet. So this is communication. You get the Igbos also have their own way of communication. For the guys, you see your fellow guy and you shake the person. So it's common. You shake that person. So HTTP is the protocol. Every request that pass through TCP must have a pattern of communication. So it doesn't have different way of communication. You don't go to a server and your communication is different. You don't communicate differently. They have a protocol for communicating with a server that the server understand. Remember, this all these things are softwares. They don't hear English, so they have a way of communicating in their own way. So that is what HTTP. HTTP is designed is under TCP. That is the route in which we make this travel. Okay, let me not divert to firewall and um, load balancing. So that is just the simply analogy for on the of how the web works. I don't know if you have any question at this point. Uh, okay. Yes. What do I have again? So that is simply how the web works. Um, okay, let's just see. I don't know. My pattern may be different from how we have been using, but I'm very sorry I didn't really prepare for the class very well. I would have just gotten a very like prepared very well for the notes and all those things. So look at what I was saying. Okay, now let me just analyze this. Let me just summarize how the web works. Okay, now they have a client and a server. Computer connected to the internet are called the client and servers. So it means that any devices that are being connected to the internet is either referred to as a client or a server. Now a client requests. Now every request from a server must get a response. Either it is positive or negative. What I mean is this: either you get what you requested or you get an error. So client, okay, let me just go to the. You can check this material as well. I'm just going straight to the important part. Now look at this guy. I mean this lady. He wants to buy something. The client and server we have discussed above don't tell the whole story. Okay, for now, let's imagine the web is a road. On one end of the road is the client, which is like your house. On the other end of the road is a server, which is a shop you want to buy something from. Now, look at this. The internet connection allow you to send and receive data on the web. So before you can even make any travel, before you can even start any journey, you must have internet connection. It's just like the road in which you travel. Then TCP stroke IP, eh? TCP transmission control protocol and the internet protocol are communication protocol that define how data should be traveled across the internet. This is like the transport machine mechanism that lets you pass in order to go to the shop and buy your goods. Then DNS. DNS is like an address book for websites. When you type a web address in your browser, the browser look at the DNS to find the website IP address before it can retrieve the website. You see, DNS is very important. So it dissolve the the website, it dissolve the domain name, and it find out the now remember what this ALX project that they gave to us. Okay, let me open it. In the web, the first server they gave to us, the first server they gave to us, where is it? Where is the IP address? Okay, now this IP address, hmm, this IP address the um is the IP address of the server that is now we are working as a software engineer, so we will not be referring ourselves as clients now. So we are now this IP address is now the server that will be responding to client. So what we did in that when we created a domain name is that attach we attach our IP address to our domain name so that whenever someone logs into to your website, it will dissolve DNS will dissolve it to this IP address and find it will now dissolve it to know the engine X, which is our web server that is hosting your website. So that is the essence of this IP address. Are we there, guys?
Yeah, we're
Yes,
here. We're
yes.
still here.
Okay, I think that is how the web works. That's just simply
Okay.
how the web
Can
works.
I actually ask about the engine X? What is its major functionality on the web?
Okay, now when we come to Nginx, let me attach it to the web. Now, Nginx is a web server. What is a web server? A web server is a software that a web server is a software that hosts our website. For instance, now this my device can serve as a server. Remember, a server is a physical device. Then I will install an Nginx in this server. So this server has a software called Nginx. So Nginx is a software. Inside that software, that's where we are going to host our website. All all the contents of your website, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Python, everything, every file you have will be stored in your software Nginx. So Nginx is the final bus stop where the request is being landed. So when it lands to this Nginx, it will perform the operation according to the request. You get? So Nginx is a software, a web server. They have so many web server. They have Apache web server. But in our case, we are making use of Nginx. So maybe let's just define it from the definition they gave to us. So it says Nginx is a web server that can also be used as a reverse proxy. So it has so many functionalities. It can serve as a reverse proxy. It can serve as a load balancer. It, it can also serve as a HTTP cache. But in our case, we are referring Nginx as a web server. We are more interested in the web server because this load balancer, we have another software that handle that. So has so many functions. But in this case, our Nginx serves as a web server. So the software it was created by Russian developer Igor Sofet and publicly released in 2004. It's a free, it's an open source software released under the terms of all these things. So a company of the same name as founded it is. So this is simply what Nginx is a web server. And we all know that web server is is a software that hosts our website. Is that okay by you, sir? Or should I speak more grammar? Someone's hand is called. Okay, Ahmed, please go ahead, sir. Sorry, I didn't see it.
It's okay. Okay, so I've heard you talking about Nginx and how it can be used to configure websites, right?
Yes,
So,
sir.
okay, can we see that in action?
Okay. Um, okay. So I'll have to now go to my Nginx. Yeah. All right. So uh, let's go into the Nginx. So this this environment where I am now is our web server, the one ALX gave us, web 01. So in this web server, we installed Nginx. So what LS did is that they provided us a web server. Remember, server is somewhere. Remember, I told you server is a physical computer, like it's a physical device. Now, what ALS provided us is um, they have a server, and that server made available. I mean, I don't know how it's being configured, but that server can host many web web servers. Like it can host many web servers because there's no how each person in ALX we have one server because that web server provides so many IP address. So it could be that one particular server is serving so many ALX students, but their IP address differs. You get? So now they gave me an IP address. That is, they gave me my own server. So inside this my server, the IP address the IP address I use is the one ALS provided. So I connected with my web server through SSH for secure connection because of fraudsters. Now I'm being connected to my own server. Remember, it's as though I am in my server. So inside this server, I have to install a web server. What's a web server? A web server is simply a software that hosts websites. So it only hosts websites, anything related to web. So Nginx is being installed here. But I don't know how I can show you Nginx in display, but it's a software that is being stored inside this my server. Maybe you can tell me how I can actually, okay, how do I do that? But to actually see that my server is working, but I believe all of us did something like this. So I can say sudo service nginx restart. So it didn't do anything because okay, it just started. I restarted my nginx. If there was error with my nginx configuration, um, there will be an error. Inside this my etc folder, you can see some configurations, and I'm looking for nginx. Looking for uh, there's nginx there. Okay, see it. So it, this shows that nginx is in this server. So nginx is just a web server. I can use Apache. I can install Apache and use it as my web server. So is inside this my nginx that I will provide all our files that we are going to be hosting in our website, because this nginx is a web server. So Mr. Ahmed, I don't know. I don't know if I satisfied you.
Okay. What I was basically asking is, let's say, for example, I have my own website. Okay, for example, like, remember we did web static in the Airbnb clone. We did the web
Mm.
static right?
Yes, sir.
So for example, now I want to host it. So I'm using Nginx. So I have my own server, like the one ALX gave us. So server one, so web one. So I've installed Nginx inside the web server one. So now I want to host the website itself. So can you take us through the process? Or maybe now, because I noticed a lot of people confusing between the sites enabled and sites available. because one of those two and then also where to place the content of the website themselves, because okay, I know they can work from anywhere from as long as we put the root directory, but then there's the way we can say software developers like using, because if you go to another web to another server, so you just the first place you'll check for the website there, you'll go to var www.html, because everybody knows by default that's where they're kept, but then anyone can change them. So I was just saying, can you take us through that process if it's possible, and then maybe tell us the difference between the sites enabled and the sites available, because I noticed they're somehow they are relating, but then they are somehow different. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um, you know, okay. Actually, when it comes to okay, okay, let me go to my um, let me go to my tool. Let's see the code that I use. LS gave us something to, I think, is it under to the main name? Okay, redirect. Okay, yeah, it's here. Yeah, it's there. Uh, so first of all, let's go through this question. I think it will be in this question. Now, um, from this question, the ALS says that they say we should configure our Nginx so that whenever you type your domain name and you attach it with redirect me, it will direct you to another page. And this configuration will happen in, I think that's where the configuration will come in our site enable and maybe site available. The redirection must be a 301 move permanent. Permanent. Your answer file should be a bash script containing commands automatically configure Ubuntu machine to respect above requirement. Using what you did in okay. So let's see. Let me explain from the code that you direction. Um, Now this code will look somehow. I'm not trying to explain this code, but I just want to give you a background knowledge on how this code works. From what ALS told us, ALS said that we should configure our Nginx so that it can, for instance, now look at my website. If I type www.talk/redirect redirect, this is actually what ALS wants us to do. So when you type something like this, it redirects you to something else entirely. So if you direct me to a YouTube, that's because that's what I said. So that's what we try to achieve with this code. So if you run this code, it will do something. So just forget about what happened here. Let's just focus on the Nginx. Please, if anybody wants to speak, you can just say something. Maybe if I'm not getting it correct.
Mm, hello, Levi. Sorry for interrupting you, but
Okay.
the thing is, I just want first of all let's have a clear clarification on the on sites available and on site enabled.
Okay.
Also, how can we configure on the nginx .config files? I mean, there is we have to serve a file which we upload on the server. Yeah. So how can we configure that, and how can we change the directory where the file is set up? So can you explain that from the beginning?
Okay. Let me try my best. Okay. Now we are in Nginx configuration. So we want to configure now in this folder. There is something called sites available and sites enable. Now these two things differ. Sites available, um, in site enable. Okay, let me start with site enable. We have something called default. So what happened in this default? I might not be correct, but we are all learning. Now, whenever you run your Nginx, it doesn't run this site available. It simply comes to site enable. This default, this default now, if you check this now, you see that this default is a link that is pointing to our site available, the default file in our site available. So if you want to configure your Nginx, you go to site available. And when you configure your site available, whenever you run Nginx, it runs our site enable with this default pointing to this site available. So it updates the site enable with the configuration you have in the site. Sorry, it updates the site enable with the configuration you have in the site available. So that's why you see that this default is pointing to this site available. So our configuration, the redirection that we did is supposed to be configured in site available, such that if you run your Nginx, if you restart your Nginx, it will update the default with the configuration you have in site available. Did I get that?
Yeah, you got that. Yeah. Okay. Okay, Levi. Before you move on, just a question there. So,
Okay.
for an instance now, I want to host a web static. I want to host a website. Let's say the web static project, right?
Yes, sir.
So, and then I host the website. So the websites, should I place? Okay, let me say I've placed the contents in the sites available, right? So the contents
Yes,
of
sir.
the web static. So I know there's already one link pointing to the sites available here by default. But then since now I've come up with a new website, let's say it's called web static, should I also create another link that will be pointing now to the web static folder, the web static directory, or should I just leave this default link here?
So sorry, come again for the last time.
Okay. Since this first link, since here inside site enable here, there's this one link called default pointing to the sites available. That's why when you
Yeah.
go to your browser and then when you go to your browser and then put your IP address there, you'll get the default welcome page of Nginx. Let's say when you see this page, it means your Nginx is working. So now, when I want to host a new website called WebStatic, especially the same one that we did, the one while we are cloning Airbnb clone. So when I want to host that website now, I've placed it, I've created the configuration file inside the sites available directory. So am I also supposed to create another link that from sites enabled to sites available, or will we just be using the same default link? That's what I was asking. Thank you.
Okay. In my best knowledge, I think we'll have this default here. Like you don't need to create another one.
Okay,
I
okay,
don't think
okay,
we
okay.
should create
If
another one.
okay, before you just continue, okay, if we want to create another one, and then we leave just this default one here, but then the problem is only one. This default link here only points to the default configuration file.
Okay.
Okay, just do this. Just cd cd into sites available, so that we'll see something there. Just log out of there first of all. In the sites available. Yeah. Okay, can you cut the contents of the default? Can you cut this content? Yeah, cut the contents of this default. Yeah, so this is what I was asking now. Since now the first link is pointing now to this default configuration here, and then I have another website called WebStatic that I want to host. So I've created the configuration here inside sites available. I've said that you should listen to port 80, and then whenever you should use a certain domain name. So I think we should create another link that points now to the new configuration file, so that both of them can be can be accessed whenever a user goes to the browser and types the IP address. What do you think about that?
Why I say because I don't really know much about this. That question I just answer it with not without prior knowledge of it. I just get it because since it's being configured inside the same file, maybe you created new file and say let it point to that one. But since it's still inside this file and we already have something that point to it. So what's the essence of creating new pointer to it? I'm just saying.
Okay, okay, just okay. Chinoso, I think your hand is raised.
Yeah, good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening, sir.
Sorry, all these while I was not around. That is the reason why I have not joined. I just come back yesterday. I went to a burial. Sorry for that. Over 2 weeks now. My uncle died, so we went to bury him. That's the reason why you have not seen me on white. Sorry. Oh.
Sorry about that, sir.
Sorry about that. Okay, sorry about that, Chinoso.
So, but I have done this site enable and you have to create another one. Are you hearing me?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah, yeah, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah,
I
hello.
can hear you.
Okay. I said you have to create another one. If actually you want to use puppet
Network.
and write a script that will be creating it for you. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if it's only in my end, but then I think we can't hear you, Chinoso.
Network is bad this side.
Yeah, okay, okay. Just finish up, Levi.
You mean hello? Can
Yeah,
you hear me?
yeah, yeah, sure, we
Yeah,
can hear you.
Hello?
yeah, we can hear you. Can hear you now. Maybe you can. Say
Uh,
that.
I said this I said this site enabled and site disabled. If actually maybe when you are host another sites. Maybe if you want to create another one, as you have created this one that is this default that is pointing to that one. If actually you are creating another one, you have to create another default that is pointing another to the other one. So it will be working pari passu. If actually you don't want to create another one, that is when you use puppets. Then you write the script in a puppet that will be creating it for you. That is my own understanding. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for that. Actually that has answered my question. So thank you for that. Yeah. So Levi, just continue. Thank you.
Um, I think I'll just go to the next.
Okay. And please just use 5 more minutes because we want to go to load balancer and time is not really on our side. So just wrap up on what is left.
Okay, I will wrap up on roots and subdomain.
Okay, sure.
All right. Now, when we talk of roots and subdomain, let's say this site now. Let me copy from here. Now, in this place, in this year URL, we have HTTPS as a protocol. This www is a subdomain, and this google.com is the domain name. Then this part is the path to your file. So I need someone to, in a very quick, with a very quick answer, just differentiate between subdomain and path. This part, different between this subdomain and this subdomain and to path. What's the differences? What's the differences? Do they serve the same thing? Anybody can just answer.
Okay. Pardon. What you have asked. The difference between the subdomain and
And part two, and this part to a folder or a file.
just point out someone. Just point out anyone here from the members present.
Okay. I have friends. I have friends there. My friend. Okay. Uh, it's not. It's just really don't want me to point. Okay. Let's go with Frederick. Frederick, idea. Mr. Frederick, idea. Louisa, are you available?
Yeah,
Since
yeah. Loisa is around. Loisa is around. Loisa, say something.
So one is the actual domain name, while is the other is like a path, the path that has the it points to the domain name.
when you say okay, you say one is the actual domain name
Yeah.
and
The,
the other is the part that points to the domain name.
yeah, to path points to the domain name. Or the yeah, yeah.
Okay. Did we agree on that?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, you are calling me. I was mute. Okay, there's something to path. To path really means where the content of the file or what you want to display it really is. Like for example, if you see, for example, I don't know, when you go to your GitHub, when you try to access any of the file, you'll see it will give out at the end. It will give out the path to where the file is. So to path is where the content or yeah, content or image or anything that you want to display on your web page is.
Then what of our subdomain? Sir, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Okay, the subdomain. How can I explain it? Subdomain is from the domain which holds the IP address. Okay, I can't remember really well, but I think it's something holding the IP address of the something of the website.
Okay, you've really tried, but let me ask you a question that maybe will leave you with thinking about it. You
Mm-hmm,
know, when we purchase this domain name, for instance,
mm-hmm,
google.com as your own domain
mm-hmm,
name,
mm-hmm.
and you do you do we and maybe you create a subdomain. So in which of these is it a subdomain or to part that has its own IP address different from your main domain?
The one that is holding the IP address is the domain, the domain itself. Because you remember when you're doing the web server project, you create the domain, you point it to. I don't know which is pointing which to which, but I think it's the domain which points to the IP address.
Okay.
So the subdomain is from the domain, but to path uh, links to where the content you want to display to your website is.
Okay, you have really tried. Thank you, sir. Let me
Yeah.
just round up with this explanation. Now,
Okay.
let me start with from the part. Now, to the part doesn't need a new domain. I mean, it doesn't need a new IP address to access it. So to part is being attached at the end of the domain. Like he said, is simply where the content or the file is in your server. Get or even as he illustrated, if you go to your GitHub, and maybe you click ls low level, it will have a slash your username slash ls low level. So that is to part where your folder is located. Whereas this subdomain, when you buy a domain name, you can create multiple subdomain, and each subdomain has its own IP address. So it means that you can have www.google that hosts that has just like subdomain is just simply a full website on its own with its own IP address. I don't know if you understand that. So inside this Google, we can have um, ibn-01.google.com and assign it new IP address. So it has its own content entirely. Did I get that?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
can I have kind of something to be clarified maybe?
Okay.
Can we say, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Just go back to your slide. Yeah. Uh, I was just typing google.com and www.google.com, and both were resolving to the same page. So can we say that www is a CNAME then, because it actually resolves to the same page as google.com?
Okay. Um, to to answer that question, we can say that google.com is actually
As in,
um, is actually the the name of the domain name. So let's illustrate that. So if you type google.com and also okay, you are correct, sir. So what I can say in this scenario is that um is either one, let's say for instance www.google.com. In this case, www is the subdomain and google.com is the domain. And when it comes to the domain name, they might redirect it to this www dot from their server. This how they redirect it to. When you type google.com, it will be redirected to this particular www.google.com. I think that is what I understood about it. Is it that one? Is it that this www.google is being no, they can't direct this one to the google.com because from what I read, it is beneficial to add a subdomain to your domain name for because it will be it will ease traffic, and also it will be when people are visiting your site, no matter the traffic, it will still respond to them because this www this subdomain is an A record from DNS. They provide this for so that our website can load easily and faster than when you load your normal domain. You get? Maybe you can add to that, sir. Don't know if I'm correct. Hello?
Yeah, it's thank you.
You can add to that, sir.
Okay, okay, Levi. Let me cut you short because of time.
Alright, sir.
With this space, I don't think we'll finish up everything we wanted to finish up today because we still have three more things, four more things, three more things we're supposed to do because we still have load balancing and then how to host your website, and then finally an introduction to searching algorithms. So maybe just give out some last remarks, and then Loisa, you can take the floor. Levi, are we still together?
Yeah, sir. What are you? Were you referring to me?
Yeah, okay. I was saying maybe you can just give some last remarks and then give the floor to Loisa, and then maybe once you're done, so the floor will be open to questions. So everybody we can just ask questions.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you too.
So, in summary of all I've said, just want to remind us that the web, there's a lot that happen in the web that people don't know about. It's only people that are into tech or into this kind of learning that can know what is going on. You get? So there's HTTP, there's TCP. All these things are protocols that helps our communication to the server possible. DNS is there to help us to locate our server. Without DNS, everybody will have. If you visit .tech, they will give you your own number as your domain. You get? So, but with DNS, everybody has their own unique. according to their own tests. They have their own name, and once this name is being typed, it's being resolved. Get so. Thank you everybody for this opportunity to allow me, speak in this section. It's a privilege. Get so I'm really happy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Levi. Okay, Frederick, we have had you. Just a minute, we'll talk about that. Lisa, are you still around?
Yes.
Okay, take the floor. Okay, Frederick has said something before you start. So, Frederick has said it's better we handle few topics rather than rushing to cover the whole syllabus within one lesson. Okay, I wanted us to rush. Okay, we were rushing only for these three projects for the web servers, load balancers, and also for the hosting one because we had already done that and we didn't hold sessions for those. But then, if that's the case, we'll only do these two today, and then on Wednesday, or maybe for those who'll have time tomorrow, we'll catch up and finish up on how to host, and also now do an introduction to sorting algorithms. Yeah. So, Luisa,
Hi guys.
hello.
Okay.
Hello, how are you?
So I'm good. My name is Loisa. I'll be
Hi,
taking
Loisa.
you through the load balancing. Hi. Let me share my screen. And be prepared to talk because I'll be asking you guys questions. Also, I've been having a lot of technical difficulties, so I can't handle the practicals right now, but I'll guide you through it. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. So when it comes to load balancing, we will only handle the definitions and also why they are used and the HA proxy. Those are the major things and how to install and configure the HA proxy. So first of all, what is a load balancer? Who wants to endurance? What is a load balancer?
Oh, good evening, everyone.
Mm.
I think
Is he
a
around?
load balancer. Yeah, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello.
yes, endurance. We can hear you.
Okay. A load balancer is, I think, a load
Yes.
balancer, just as how a web server is a software, a load balancer is also a software that kind of distributes incoming traffic to multiple servers.
Yes, you are correct. Because load balancing is all about division of work. So the load balancer, it's the software that is used to distribute the request to different available servers. So we have different types of load balancers. Mm, Brandon, Brandon,
Eh, I think maybe she's logged out. Maybe that's the internet connection. So let me take the flow before she comes back. Yeah. So she was at types of load balancers, and I think Brandon, you're the one who was supposed to say. So what do you think are the types of load balancers? Yeah, the ones that are commonly used, or maybe the one that we'll be using mostly in our projects, or maybe any that you found while you're doing your projects, while you're reading through the resources. Yes, Brandon, are you still here? Hey, Brandon. Okay, I don't think he can hear us. So, okay, let me just. So, types of load balancers. Okay, I'll start with layer 4. Personally, from what I read, the one that we'll be using mostly, or maybe while you're going through your load balancer project, the one you implemented was layer 4 load balancing. So I'll only say it's called layer 4 load balancing, but then I'll want someone to tell me what it's all about. Load balancer. Yes, so let me say Frederick. Oh, okay, Frederick has said something. Let me.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. I'm here. I'm here. Okay.
Oh, okay,
It,
okay.
I didn't get. I
Oh,
didn't get your question correctly.
okay, I think already Luisa is back, so let me stop sharing. She'll just take over.
Okay.
Okay, Luisa.
I'm sorry about that. I lost connection for a bit.
It's okay. Okay, just continue. You are still where you just left. We are going through
Okay.
types of load balancers.
Okay. I think Frederick was talking.
I was trying to answer Ahmed's question. I didn't get it correctly, but it's okay. Can continue, Loisa.
Okay. So Ahmed, were you asking the what the layer 4
Yeah,
does and the layer 7?
yeah. So I was saying,
Mm-hmm.
there's layer 4 type. So I was saying there are different types of load balancers, but then for the one during the load balancer project, the one we implemented was layer 4. So I wanted someone
Yeah.
to help us with what is layer 4 load balancing.
Okay.
That's what I asked. Yeah.
So according to my understanding, the layer 4 it balances the traffic based on the IP addresses and the ports. So because it's applied on the transport layer of the OSI model, so it will be checking the IP addresses and the ports available. So does anyone else have something to add on that? Or I can just continue.
Yeah. I think I just continue.
Frederick, do you have something to add?
Okay. Yeah. It takes me a while to unmute. Okay.
Oh, it's okay.
So, layer 4 basically, according to my understanding, it doesn't include many servers. Like it is including only, okay, like a minimum of two servers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for example, okay, I don't know how I can explain it, but for I don't want to enter layer 7, but the difference between layer 4 and layer 7 is the number of servers that it includes. So for layer 4, what I got, okay, something that I missed somewhere. Mm, but basically, what I understood is layer 4 includes at least two servers,
Okay.
but layer 7 it has multiple. servers, more than two.
Levi, Levi or Michael, one of you can talk. I can see you are raising your hands.
Okay, thank you. So when we talk of layer 4 HA proxy, layer 4 is just like my brother said, it allocates or it shares the traffic between or among the web servers. It can handle more than two, I think.
Yeah.
It can handle more than two, but it 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 is being shared according to the algorithm on how you define it. So it can share to one, then the next person that comes is share to another, and like that. But in layer seven is actually when we are making use of a very, for instance, your website is very large, whereby it redirects traffic based on this, just like I explained, these two parts. For instance, now we have blog websites. So any traffic that is coming as a blog, it will direct that website to a particular server. Then any website that is coming, or maybe let's say sign up, it has its own server. And inside that blog, they have other servers. So inside that blog, it's not as if that blog part is just one server. Inside that blog server, they also have server that serve those blog. So that in case one shut down, another can do the job. So that's how it's been redirect. It redirects its own based on the request of the client. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So I think I moved too fast going to layer four without explaining the load balancer sits between the internet and the servers. Because normally when you're using the web, you are not the only one using the web. A lot of people are using the web, and uh, a lot of people might be wanting to access the same thing. So that's why sometimes we need the load balancer so that it can again uh, distribute the request to the available servers. So we have like a few reasons why we use load balancers. One of them we have already talked about is traffic distribution. So I want us to talk about at least two more or three more reasons why we use load balancers. And Jason, Jason Mangi, can you give us one reason why we need the load balancers other than traffic distribution? Oh, I think there are two Jasons. There is Jason Uke and Jason Mangi. One of you can give us another reason.
Uh, I think we need a load balancer
Mm-hmm.
To make the website I think to make the if there is a high traffic usage on the server.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at the moment of that, it's gonna regulate us to make the server
Mm-hmm.
to give the server optimal answer for the request based
Yeah.
on based on the traffic. So the load balancer will help us to resolve such issues.
Yes. Gabriel,
Yeah, good evening.
can you give us another reason why we need the load balancer?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
the, the major reason I think we need a load balancer is just to put a kind of checkmate between when you get two or more web servers.
Mm-hmm.
When you are trying to connect between web server and the other server, when there are too much traffic on a particular server, there has to be a kind of balance between one server and the other server. So you kind of like you are putting a kind of like an equilibrium between the two servers we are using, so
Yeah,
that when one is affected, the other one can actually continue.
yeah. So basically, we can say it is used for health monitoring. It checks the servers that are unavailable and makes sure that no traffic goes to those servers or the servers that have issues. It will not direct any request to those servers. One more reason why we need web servers. Mm, Mishek, or Noel, you can say it. It's okay.
Hello guys, how are you? Sorry for late coming.
It's okay.
I think some load balancers come with inbuilt security features,
Mm-hmm.
which usually help with guarding the internet applications when attackers tend to flood the servers with concurrent requests.
Yeah. Brandon, you have something to say?
Yes, yes. Good evening. How are you?
Evening.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was having network issues.
Oh, it's okay.
So, so one of the uses we use load balancers is for high availability. So, when we when we are distributing traffic across multiple servers,
Mm-hmm.
the load balancers help us to minimize downtime, and it also improves reliability. So, for example, if one server fails, the load balancer redirects traffic to the remaining health servers
Yes.
for the ensuring of uninterrupted server se- uninterrupted service for our users.
Yes.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Sure.
Okay. Another reason that I think it's very important is for like session persistence. I think we all know what stateful applications are. Stateful applications, they are basically where users need to, like the users, they need to either record something or give information. So sometimes the load balancer will help to make sure that every time a user makes a request, the request is directed to the same server. Like instead of going to different servers, assuming you're buying something from Amazon and you had added things to your cart and then you left it. When you come back, you still want to find those things in your cart. So the next time you come back to use the Amazon website to buy things, if you check your cart, the things you had added previously, they will still be there. So the load balancer ensures that your request will be going to the same server. That is basically session persistence. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Lots of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I make an addition?
Yes, you can.
Okay. So basically, when you are defining load balancers,
Mm-hmm.
we need to have the OSI model in our mind. I
Yes.
don't know if you can all remember the OSI model, the Open System Interconnection model into our head. So basically, the OSI model consisted of 7 layers. I don't know, the first one was physical layer, the second one was data link layer. No, no, yeah, the third one was network layer, and the last one was layer 7 was application layer. So when you're giving out the types of load balancers, it's
Mm-hmm.
basically on these layers. So for layer 4 type of load balancer is on the layer 4 on the OSI model.
Yes.
So when you just go and find out the function of layers, when you come at layer 4, that is where the load balancer is the function of load balancer 4. Layer 4 is the function in which the first function is for segmenting data into packets. So when you're trying to give out the function of load balancer for
Mm-hmm.
layer 4 type, of load balancer, it is to segment data. Then for layer 7, it is the highest how can I put it? It's the highest application layer, or it's the
Yeah.
highest level that okay, I don't know how I can put it, but the main purpose is for providing network services.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Does anyone else have something to add? Because the uses of a load balancer, basically they are the same as the advantages of load balancers. So I don't think we need to tackle the advantages because it's basically the same thing. So we can mention at least 3 disadvantages before we continue to HA proxy. Mm, who hasn't talked yet? Osas? Or Chino, so you can give us one disadvantage of using load balancers. Because everything that has an advantages has disadvantages. So at least 1 or 2.
Maybe I can give one on that.
Yes, please.
So I can say maybe single point of failure,
Mm-hmm.
because all the requests of data go through the load balancer before going to the respective servers. So in case now the load balancer itself fails, then
Mm-hmm.
everything goes down. So I think that's a disadvantage.
Yes, that's true. Another one we can say is that cost, especially for the companies that need the physical ones. So purchasing the hardware, it can be very expensive, and also configuring them can be very complex. So we can move on to HA proxy. So I want someone to give us the definition of the HA proxy.
Okay,
Yes,
just
yes,
a
Ahmed.
minute, Lisa, before you move on. So I
Okay.
had a question I
Mm-hmm.
encountered somewhere, but then I didn't get the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so both of us know that when you're using a load balancer, you normally have like 2 servers, and then you can have more. I'm not saying you can just have 2, but then for example in the projects we are doing, we had 2.
Yes.
So let's say you have talked about session persistence, right?
Yes.
Okay, so is that based on layer 4 on layer 7? Because remember from what you are saying, I think you are saying something like they'll have one database,
Mm-hmm.
but then the database will be configured differently, so that when a user is maybe posting data, it will go in a different place to when he's getting data, right?
Yes.
So my question is, so which type of layer of maybe load balancer layer were you talking about? Was that layer 7? Was that layer 4? Which is which?
Oh, okay. I'm not very sure about that. Does it? I would think it's the application layer.
Yeah. Can you repeat the question?
Okay, okay. Let me repeat the question. Okay, so like she was saying, she gave an advantage of load balancers about session persistence. So she was saying, for example, like when you go to Amazon and then you want to purchase something, so you can get your items and then load them into a cart. Then maybe something happens, you log out, and then when you come back later on again, you still find that your cart still has the items that you purchased, you wanted to purchase. So my question was based on that. So like for example, now in a scenario we have something like 5 servers. Yeah, let's say 5 servers and then one load balancer there. So when a user wants to post data, there's I don't know if it's layer 4 or layer 7. So between the two, One is the one which will be responsible for saying whenever a user wants to get data, for example, then the request will go to a different database compared to when he wants to get the data. Have you got my question, Frederick?
Yeah, I've gotten your question correctly, Ahmed.
Yeah.
Um, the answer is layer 4 because layer 4 balancer is the one responsible for segmenting data and distributing to where the data should be going. The layer 7 basically, or the major purpose of layer 7 is for networking.
Okay, I think I'll have to disagree with you on that, Michael.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was about to say about that about him. I think I'm not agree with Frederick because I think he changes the description. I mean, the layer 7 is the one responsible for the content of the request. I mean, all cookies, such headers and such like things handled by layer 7. The layer 4 is only responsible for the connection TCP or UDP connection between the server and the client. So to handle such type of things like the history of the browser or the history of the client, all handled by the layer 7 rather than layer 4.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity, Loisa. You can just continue. Yeah, but then I think
Okay.
what Michael has said, I think that's the case.
Yes, I also think it happens in layer 7 because layer 7 is also responsible for inspecting the HTTPS server headers. So normally it will check the URLs
Yeah.
to make sure it sends the URL to the specific web server. So I think we can move on to HA proxy. I wanted someone to give us the definition of the HA proxy. And who hasn't talked? Who wants to talk? Mm, Jason, one of you? Or is it just one? Just one. Jason, yes, Jason.
Okay, let me mention something about Jason. Okay, Jason usually has a problem with his mic, so
Oh,
whenever you want to see what he's saying, I think you'll have to look at the chat.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Levi or Osas. I think also Osas can't talk.
Okay, so maybe let's see.
Okay, so HA proxy it's an open source software that provides the availability of load balancers and proxy server for the HTTP and TCP based applications. Basically, it's like it's hmm, let me find an analogy. It's basically it's like a traffic officer that handles the work distribution. It can serve as a load balancer or a proxy server, so it has different uses. And one of them being load balancing. We have already discussed about load balancing, so we don't have to talk about it again. Another thing is it serves as a proxy server. And a proxy server, these are the servers that sit between clients and the backend servers. Does anybody have a question so far? Okay, I'll just keep going on. So for the HA proxy, they operate on layer 4 and also on layer 7. I think we've already talked about layer 4 and layer 7, unless someone has a question about the two. So HA proxy operates on both layer 4 and layer 7.
Okay, no question on that.
Does anyone has a question or something to add? I'm
Okay,
trying to rush because of time.
okay, maybe I add only one small thing on that.
Mm-hmm.
On layer 7, I've heard you saying it mainly focuses on HTTP and HTTPS. but then
Mm-hmm.
on layer 4 you have not mentioned anything on that.
Oh, okay.
So on
So,
yeah, okay, sure, just continue.
so layer four in the OSI model, it was the transport layer. So it balances the traffic based on the IP addresses and the ports. Any question? Mishak, do you have a question?
No, I just wanted to add like so layer 4 is a transporter layer using the TCP and the UDP. Then
Yeah.
layer 7, this is the flexibility which allows handover in types of trafficking effectively.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any other question? Mhm. So I think we can move on to the HA proxy terminology, and we can handle the ACLs, front end and back end. So I want someone to tell us what access control list is, the ACL, or what they do. Chinoso, or endurance. Is he around endurance?
I think Osas has asked a question on the chat. Sorry.
Okay. Let me check. Sorry. Mm. Let me say HA process. I mean, the HA proxy can serve either. It acts as a proxy server. That means it sits between the client and the backend when it comes to distribute.
Said something that has really caught my mind. So in, we are not supposed to rush quick things so quickly, because so today we were supposed to go through the 4 projects, but then because of Frederick, we have just gone through this through. I think we've only gone through the background concept of this so that everybody can understand now while we are going through the practical. So tomorrow I think now we can do the practicals. So I'll start with the first web server, and then we'll
Okay.
see how to configure Nginx. We'll also learn how to host a small websites. Yeah, the website we did during the Airbnb clone web static, we are going to host it tomorrow if we get the chance. For those who are going to be available, I'll be available, so we are going to do that tomorrow. And then we also install load balancer, because I noticed, so one person reached out and then I noticed that he had made a mistake. So we were given 3 servers. So in those 3 servers, we are only supposed to install the load balancer, the HA proxy, in the load balancer server, nothing else. So some people were also confusing on that. And then also maybe try configuring Nginx so that everybody can be familiar with that. For those who will get time tomorrow. Yeah. Okay. Levi, I think Levi has something to say.
Okay, thank you, sir. I have a question actually. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, okay. You have said it all about the front end and the back end of the HA proxy. But now, look at what is now confusing me. At what point does our SSL at what point does it have